continuum where past and future.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the AandEPodcast. I am Andy Stowe. He is Eddie from Ackworth, and tonight we are joined by John Smith. And John, can you tell everyone how they probably know you from in the Twitter world?
Hey, y'all. I'm so excited to be here. First of all, thanks for having me. I am John Tweet Sports, and I am excited to talk about whatever we're going to talk about tonight. And most folks, listen, I want to apologize at the top. If you know me from Twitter, hopefully we've had a little fun together, but I tend to mix it up on there a little bit.
Never apologize for who you are, brother. Never. You know what? There's an unfollow button there for a reason.
There we go. I like it. I like the energy already.
So tell people how they can watch your podcast too, John.
Yeah, so I have a show called the Dog Dispatch. I do that with Coach Chris Hayes. You can watch us on YouTube at Dog Dispatch or wherever you listen to podcasts. So would love to have you all come and join us. And we're just getting started. We're about 10 episodes in and having a really good time making that show. So come on and follow us and let's have a good time over there.
Y'all do that live on Tuesday nights?
We do live on Tuesdays and we record on Thursdays. So we have one recorded and one live every week, and we do everything from Coach Hayes does a good job of breaking down film on really specific players. Yeah, we talk about trends, things we're seeing, things we're hearing, and then just have a good time talking about all kinds of fun stuff. Very similar to what y'all are doing in terms of the content. I like that y'all talk about Braves and Falcons. We don't get into the pro stuff, but focus on Georgia, but love talking ball. So,
well, I'll say this before we get started. I got a couple things, Andy. If you'll grace me. First, John at John Tweet Sports is a great Twitter follow. I disagree with you, John. Like I said, if somebody doesn't like it, they can unfollow you. They can block you, whatever.
I said that for my mom. My mom follows me on Twitter, so that's mostly what I said. I
understand, but John gives out great information a lot of the times, and some of it's really funny and smart aleck. That's why I like it. It's my mold, so I really appreciate that. But a couple things before we get started, Andy. So O.J. Simpson died today. I know y'all.
Does the glove fit, or do we acquit? Right. How does that work?
So, I don't know if y'all read his last tweet last night. It was 24 hours ago. He said he had finally found the killer, and he was going to announce it 24 hours from now. So we'll never know he died before he was able to even announce it. So we'll just never know. And the second thing, what's that?
Oh, I was going to say he spent all those years looking for that killer.
Finally had it. He had it last night, and it was coming. I know we were that.
I think he looked for that guy on every golf course.
Yes, he did.
And just couldn't find him.
So except for, I don't think he played the Masters. I don't think he played Augusta. So maybe that's where the killer is, right?
Maybe so. That's where he's at.
Speaking of the Masters, a great segue there, John. I read where Tiger Woods. Do you guys play golf? Andy, do you play golf?
Putt. I'm more of a putt player.
Okay, John, you nod your head. You play golf. All right, Andy, I'm sure you've hit a bucket of balls, right?
I have a set of golf clubs right over here, dude. So yeah.
Okay, that's fine. Have you hit a bucket of balls?
Of course.
Okay, all right.
I used to play at the Old Harp course.
Okay, so this is what Tiger Woods says he does every day. Just think about this for a second. 1,000 contacts with a ball and a club a day. Okay, now I did the math, so you don't have to do it. A bucket of balls is roughly 25 balls. So that's 40 buckets of balls. Hit one bucket of balls when it's 100 degrees outside. I'm done. That's it.
That's it. Yeah, there's absolutely no way. Could you imagine the strain, the obliques?
That. Now, to be fair, he said he doesn't necessarily hit that many, but he'll putt 600 times. If I putt 10, I'm done. I'm bored to death. 600 putts. Are you kidding me? That's why I don't understand how these guys are that obsessed with that sport. It's
no, it's just listen. It just has to be. If you ascend to that level, Michael Jordan the same way. You got to be a little psychotic. You got to be a little like. There's a lot of like there's a lot of like self, sadomasochism and things like that, where you're just like, you're putting yourself in the suffering.
Well, I
if
think
you're
that's true
trying
of
to be
all
that
artists,
good.
right? It's the same thing
Yeah,
with
for
all
sure.
artists. They're a little bit psycho,
Absolutely.
and you're absolutely right, John. They're just nuts.
Yeah.
Kirby Smart.
Yeah,
I leave work
Absolutely.
every day. Kirby Smart is over
Absolutely.
there yelling. He has his microphone. He is yelling to the top of his lungs. He's cussing everybody, the coaches, the players, and he does it every single day. It's a next level thing that I love baseball. I love football. I don't know if I could ever get to that level. It's crazy how they do it. But yeah, Eddie, it was funny when you're talking about OJ, and my boss told me, he said, y'all should all start the show out tonight with just black gloves on. And I was like, that may be a little too much. I don't want to get shot or anything. So I decided not to do that. Yeah.
Probably a good move, Andy.
Yeah, I was going to text you and say, do you black gloves? But then I was like, you know what?
I actually do not.
I don't either. So that's why I didn't do it.
Listen, I'll tell you guys. First of all, I honestly didn't know that OJ was still alive. That's how much I've pay attention to OJ.
Okay.
Yeah.
But number two, Twitter was a fantastic place today. If you like memes, man, the person who tweeted that they should do the Bronco for the funeral procession, they said they don't do this. If they don't do this, it's a missed opportunity.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a lot of good content out there.
Yeah. Well, that OJ whole thing was made for memes, right? I mean, when we watched it in '94, my wife and I saw it live. We were watching the NBA and that broke in. We had no vision of Twitter and the memes that would come out of OJ Simpson, right? So it's just made for it.
Yeah, that's it was crazy today. Like Eddie sent us a little text. It was a fake tweet from OJ. It was like, by the way, I did it or something like that. It was great today.
OJ's last tweet. That's right.
Yeah. Well, guys, before we get into the real sports world instead of the O.J. Simpson killing stuff, I want to thank everyone that's watching. We got a lot of people. James Caraway's in here. Garrett Key, Marsh Mutt.
Nice.
And James is to cheat on so many women. No idea, James.
I don't know.
Next level
psychotic.
Stuff. Yes, he has next level stuff. But yeah, so it is a big week. It's a big week with the Georgia Bulldogs, the Atlanta Braves. The Atlanta Falcons have a draft coming up. First, I wanted to ask you guys about this weekend's G-Day game. Is there, they play Saturday at 1:00. Is there a player or a position group that you're looking at, John, that you think, okay, this is what I want to see come out of this particular person or group?
Yeah, I think for me, this is the first opportunity I think that a lot of guys like us get to see where some of these guys have been playing in spring. So for me, I'm looking at who's playing the star position on the defensive side, especially who's playing the star position, who's playing edge, what's up with the linebackers, how are they rotating guys, what pairings are they putting there, a lot of those things. So for me specifically, I would say because Smile Munden is hurt and not going to play, I think looking at the linebacker group, looking at the edge group, seeing what they do with Michael Williams is a good example, and that star position are really what I'm looking at. And then it's always fun. G-Day is always fun for skill positions because they don't they're not going to go out there. They're not going to go out there. Yeah, but they're going to throw it about 100 times, and so that's always fun to see those young wide receivers get some run in G-Day as well.
Well, who do you think is in that? I want to ask John real quick, in that star position, because that position fascinates me. I kind of think it's going to be Janelle Aguero, but that's just my guess. But there's a lot of strong players back there. I mean, who do you think that might be?
Yeah, Kirby made some hints in some of his press conferences this spring when he said that Ja'Cory Thomas was having to do some dual training, where he was saying, he's having to play some star, which is a mental shift for him. So I think you're going to see some of that. Coach Hayes, on our show, he thinks that they might give Dalen Everett a little bit of run at star position, which I think is interesting.
I think I read that today, actually.
Yeah. Coach has been saying that. He's been saying, I think he may have said that all the way back in January, because of his size. It's really his size and his physicality that you need to play at that position. And if you look at what Georgia has in terms of corners, you got so many talented young guys. Yeah, and then you've got guys that you hopefully want to keep in the fold, like Julian Humphrey and some of those guys. And so I think you might see some of that. But I would love to see, my personal, as a fan, I would love to see Jonelle Aguero go out there and just be the guy. Like he was a highly touted recruit.
Yeah.
I'd love to see him just go out there and just take over that star position. Personally.
I'm with you, but to a point, because I've been watching Ja'Cory Thomas interviews recently, and I have fallen absolutely in love with that kid. He is just
Thomas.
gushing with maturity and the way he presents himself with the media. And this is his first year doing it. He's never been in front of the media, and he's just a star, in my opinion. I love that kid.
But as of now, they have him behind Dan Jackson at free safety.
Correct.
Mm-hmm. He may take that
like
job
John said, he's been cross training. I
think he's going to take that job within a couple of games.
You think so?
I love Dan Jackson, and I'll never forget the block, down the field in the national championship game.
Yeah.
That wasn't really a block. He got blown.
Well, he got in the way. I'm just saying he chased it down. Look, we scored a touchdown and won the national championship. It was the best block ever. That's all that matters. But yeah, I think I think Ja'Cory Thomas is probably going to take that spot. But and that's Garrett Key has a really good question and kind of where I'm at. He said his main focus is D-line and who on the D-line can and will step up. Is there anyone you're looking at in particular, John, that you think could take that next step?
Yeah, I mean, so D-line is interesting to me because I am very interested in the defensive line. I just think you're not going to learn much from the defensive line in the spring game.
Not in G-Day.
Because you're not. It's not. They don't. We not to get too technical. We talked about it on our show this week, but they don't. They don't run a lot of gap scheme in terms of like the just really the complex stuff that you really can learn a lot about your defensive line. Georgia's not going to run that in spring
game. Not to mention if there's a free rush to the quarterback, it's like
you can't. Yeah, it's like 2-hand touch, right? So I think. But I will say I am interested to see guys like Jordan Hall, Kristen Miller. There's some young guys that Jamal Jarrett is another one whose name I'm not maybe not in the spring game, but I'm interested to see like how he progresses this year. I think there's a few names on there, but Jordan Hall is the one that's up there for me. Just again, he's a guy that everybody has all the tools to be a stud on that defensive front, and we'll see if he's coming along.
Well, I think Jamal Jarrett, Coach Donnan on the UGA Sports podcast on Tuesday, he mentioned that he has trimmed down a good bit. Like they say, he looks like he's in really good shape. So he may be a guy that can take that next step because the talent is there. So yeah, he may be that guy
for sure.
Does what Kirby has said bother you a little bit? In other words, he has said recently that he can't figure out if it's the offensive line being that dominant or if it's the defensive line not being up to par. Which do you think it is?
But he also said he wouldn't take anyone else's D-line in the country over his.
No, I know that. I know that. But I mean, he laid that out that way, and I can't figure out what he means by that. Do you have any comment on that, John?
I mean, what he means by that is he's challenging the defensive line.
Yeah, you're probably
and
right.
That's what he means by that. It's Kirby. Everything that he says is very intentional, and he has been this year has been more open and transparent in his pressers than he has been in previous years. He said stuff, that like what he said about the defensive line. Like I wouldn't take any other group. We've got guys on there that can get better. Those are things that are different. When he says, I wouldn't take any other group in the country, there are some coaches who don't have 300-pounders on their defensive front. He just doesn't say stuff like that.
No, he doesn't say things unless he means it. Yeah.
And he also doesn't bring up other coaches and their situations to basically say, like, we have a really good situation here at Georgia. And so I think what he's doing when he says all that is just challenging the defensive line. So I think when he says, man, maybe this offensive line is just the best offensive line in the country, I think that's more of a challenge to the defensive line than it is praising the offensive line. Yeah.
Well, he also called the offensive line that's coming in a bunch of fat asses, and they showed up in shape, right? I mean, he didn't say fat asses, but
but he did. Yeah.
So,
he did.
A great point.
Yeah, James. James mentioned Scovey returning at punts or top returner spot, and he also mentioned the wide receivers in general, and also the tight ends, because the pass catchers. We got a lot of new guys. Who's going to step up and be that next? We're losing Ladd McConkey, who we're going to talk about in a little while. He may go in the first round. We're losing elite talent at the wide receiver spot, and Brock Bowers, who just ran a 4.5, 4.40 or 4.53. So we're losing elite guys. So I'm with James looking at wide receivers. to see who can be that guy. Is it going to be London Humphreys? Can he be that transfer guy to come in? What is your take on him, John? Because I'm curious about London Humphreys.
Yeah, I think London Humphreys. I think Georgia brought him in for two reasons. One, London Humphreys he's a pretty physical wide receiver. I think people people had these like Lab McConkey kind of comps, which I don't think were necessarily
not at all
correct. I think he's a guy who can give you rotation, who can give you depth, and who honestly, like, he can block, like he can play in the run game as a wide receiver. But man, that wide receiver room is deep.
Yeah.
If you have when you have Dominic Lovett, you have Ra Thomas, nobody's, I still don't understand why nobody's talking about Anthony Evans. Like, I think Anthony Evans is going to do some stuff. Like, I think you start going down that list of guys, and a lot of them are young, but then you throw in Michael Jackson, you throw in Colby Young, you throw in London Humphrey,
yeah.
you
just left out Dylan Bell and Arian Smith.
Correct.
Guys out.
I haven't even gotten, right. I haven't even gotten to those guys, right? That's how deep this room is. And I think for me, it's London Humphrey is a guy that I think will give Georgia. I think he's going to give Georgia some very productive reps. But I see him more, in some of these, like, some of these schemes where he would be the guy that would be the surprise, like for Vanderbilt, what he did against Georgia on that first play or whatever it was. In the game.
First play.
He'll be in there where it's like, oh, this feels like a rundown, and a lot of times it might be, and then he might be the guy that can, like, give you one of those types of plays from time to time.
Along those lines, John, who do you think returns punts? Is it Evans' job to lose, or is it Sokovie White, like you've been saying?
Yeah,
or DeMello Jones. I'll throw his name in there.
Yeah, I like DeMello Jones a lot. I think it's Anthony Evans' job to lose.
Yep,
I don't think you put Anthony Evans in that position in the SEC championship game to return a punt, and
just
then all of a sudden he loses. Yeah, and then he loses that job in the spring, especially to a true freshman. Now, I'm super high on Sokovie White. I love Sokovie White. Yeah. I think Sokovie White is going to be an absolute baller at Georgia by the time it's over. But he's a true freshman, man. You get in one of those stadiums with 100,000 people in there, and that ball's up in the lights, and it's just a different situation, returning punts, or kicks. And so I think it's Anthony Evans' job to lose. But DeMello Jones, I'd love to see him back there. I mean, shoot, there's a few guys I'd love to see back there. KJ Bolden, I'd love to see back there personally.
Yeah.
But he's the guy that has been mentioned as potential. I think he's actually taken some reps there in practice. So
James makes a great point, because that's what I was thinking when John was going through all the receivers. I absolutely agree with James. I think London doesn't do much this year. It's next year when he's shot.
Well, what happened with Dominic Lovett?
I hate to say that I agree with James, but I do right here.
Dominic Lovett had a decent year last year for Georgia, but it wasn't elite. Maybe this year he's elite, and maybe that's what London Humphreys comes in, learns a year, and then next year he's ready to take over that spot. So, I'm with James as well. And we Coach Hayes says it's hard for me to name them all when I'm trying to break them down. There are so many that can contribute, and that's it. The room is so deep right now. It's not just the wide receivers, the tight ends, everything. Another thing that's probably going to happen next week with the football team is the transfer portal. It always gives and it always takes. Are there any guys, or maybe not necessarily specifically a guy, maybe some guys from a position group that you think we may lose a guy or two?
So when does that open? Monday the 15th?
Tuesday
the 16th.
Okay, Tuesday the 16th.
Yeah.
Okay.
The 16th, yeah.
All right.
Yeah, and I think you'll have guys. I mean, I think you'll have guys announcing intentions over the weekend, after the spring game,
Sunday,
likely, for a lot of teams, just to get ahead of some of it. But listen, the one that, the position group that worries you there, and again, a lot of people have been talking about it. Josh Pate talked about it on his, and made some, what I think he maybe overstated some of his predictions, but talked about just the need of interior defensive line around the country at some of the big programs. I think there will be a couple of guys that, test the portal from the defensive line. I also think, Georgia, I just don't see how Georgia's going to keep all of these defensive backs when you start going down the list, So I think there's that. And then I think there's also going to be, I won't be surprised if there's a running back, maybe two that enter the portal, because you brought Travis Etienne in, you got Rod Robinson who's doing some stuff. Branson Robinson is going to come back and be healthy at some point. And I think you start getting down that list, just knowing how Georgia that rotates running backs, but just knowing, some of the guys that have been in the program for a little while. So those were the three position groups that I would be most concerned about. I think I'm not concerned, wide receiver. We just mentioned how deep they are. I mean, I think they're guys who came in for a reason there. But and the offensive line is that one's a little bit tricky because you have about 8 guys who can go, who are studs. And we saw what happened with Amarius Mims when he did the whole Florida State kind of head fake situation. So there might be a guy or two there. But I think Georgia, I mean, my prediction is that Georgia is going to lose 5 to 6 guys to the portal just in this window. And I think probably 2 of those are going to be, guys that they probably want to keep. And we'll see what happens.
This may be silly to really speculate because we don't know who's in the portal, but he wants a 4th quarterback. Kirby has said, I want a 4th quarterback. So he's going in the portal for that. A 4th, a 4th quarterback who's on scholarship. Who might that be? I mean, I have no idea. I know that's stupid to say because there's going to be guys that go in. We're like, whoa, I didn't see that coming. But here's my question, I guess. Do you think Kirby is going for a guy to back up Gunnar Stockton, or is he going for a guy to back up Carson Beck? That's my question.
John.
Yeah. I think he's going for a guy to back up Gunnar Stockton. Okay. Because I don't think you bring in a quarterback in after spring with the intention of that guy being your second QB. Okay. I just don't, unless you're bringing him in from
about it too. Then, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he has to be. He's been in the offense for a couple of years now. I think it's more of the complexity. Like you guys know, but a lot of people don't know how complex like this offensive scheme is, like the checkdowns and the plays and the pass pros and like the reps and all of those things that you get with these guys. And so again,
the third string right now, God forbid, is Puglisi, right?
Yeah.
And he's injured.
Yeah, exactly. Who would be in the same situation as a quarterback coming in from the portal unless it's a QB who, maybe there's an experienced QB who's been around for a little bit, like a JT Daniels type guy who just knows, who has enough experience and enough understanding of different schemes and different offenses and all those things that could slide in to be QB2, but it would have to be a pretty tenured guy. I will say, I mean, the guy that Georgia had, the UNLV quarterback, Mayava, I think was his name. I can't remember his last name, but who was at Georgia for about 12 hours, committed to Georgia for about 12 hours. That is the type of quarterback who he was QB1 at UNLV. Very talented guy. Like if you find somebody like that who is at that second level, who's at that, kind of group of 5 level, that's a starter, that is like, hey, I'm going to raise my hand and come do this. That could be a QB2 option for sure. But I think Georgia, the reason that Kirby wants 4 scholarship quarterbacks is less about who's QB2, and it's more about the reps, the way that they run practice, the groupings that they put together. They try to go 4 deep, and you just can't. It's really difficult to run even those normal like drills and stuff when you only have 3 scholarship quarterbacks, because you're trying to think about all those wide receivers that you're trying to get throws to and things like that. It's just tough. Yeah.
And you mentioned a guy like the JT Daniels. See, I could see Kirby looking for a guy that has maybe 3 years of eligibility left and say, hey, next year, Carson Beck's gone. You have a shot to be QB1 next year. So I don't think he's going to get a guy that has 1 year of eligibility to be the 3. I think it's going to be someone that has 2 or 3 years left that could be QB1 in the next couple of years. So,
that's a great point.
Yeah.
Good job, Andy. That was awesome. Brilliant stuff. Way to go.
Let's end the show. There we go. Let's end the show. Now, I do want to talk about the basketball right quick, because I was talking about the transfer portal. Sure. The basketball team is seeing a lot of transfers. We've had 5 guys hit the portal. You've had Jalen DeLoach. You've had Justin Hill. You have Miles Moncrief. You've had Jabri Abdul-Rahim and Mari Jordan. Are we upset about this? Is this a situation where we're like, oh, crap, we just lost this guy? Or is that just the world we live in and we think Mike White can go out and get 4 or 5 more guys this year?
This is the world we live in college basketball. And what I will also say is that I don't think that the majority of these guys are maybe Jabri Abdurrahim, but I don't think these guys. Yeah, but I don't think these guys are guys that woke up and said, I'm going to transfer. I think these are guys who basketball, especially college basketball right now, it's a lot of processing guys out. It's a lot of, they are on your roster. You see what they got. You go through you go through a year or two with them, and then you end up sometimes you're making decisions for them. Jalen Deloach is one that maybe, Dylan James is a guy that's like really pushing for that particular spot. And we saw it in the NIT. But I think if you saw how Mike White used the roster in the NIT, he went a little bit smaller. He used James. Yeah, he had those 3 freshmen on the floor a lot. And I think that was the signal that you needed. So for me, I think there were 4 guys that Mike White really just needed to keep. Blue Kane, Silas Demery Jr., Dylan James, and RJ Melendez. And we don't know about RJ yet as of the time of this recording, but the other 3 seem like they're going to be around. Yeah. And so if you can keep those 4, I think it's a huge win. I think it's a huge win for Mike White. And because you can build around that 4 as your nucleus, especially with Asa Newell coming in and other guys, like you can really do some good stuff there.
Yeah, of the 4 you mentioned there, Abdurrahim is the one that hurts the most, I think, because that's a lot of leadership. He was hurt there down the stretch. He was a big player for us for a while, especially during that 10-game run we had. He was really good, and I wanted to see him one more year. So of the 4, I would have really wanted him back. The other 3, I mean, no offense to him, but bye.
Well, Abdurrahim, he averaged 26 minutes a game. He had 12.2 points per game, 3.5 rebounds a game, and he shot 35.6% from 3-point.
Yeah.
So that's going to hurt. But he's also here in the NBA draft, so it may be that he just goes to the NBA depending on.
He might.
Yeah.
I think he might actually go play for his dad.
Well, before you move on, I want to ask John, is next year make or break for Mike White? Or does
it has to be make or break for Mike White.
Okay,
and I don't say that.
What is make? What is make in your opinion?
Yeah, I think make is I think there's 3 things that are make. I think 1, you have to be over 500 in SEC play or at 500 SEC play. I think 2, you have to make it, to at least maybe the 2nd, 3rd round of the SEC tournament. And then from there, it's just a matter of like where you fall. I don't think he has to make the NCAA tournament. I will say that. I don't think that that's necessarily where Georgia is as a basketball program, where it is like it's tourney or bust. But I do think you have to take. So what Mike White has done is he took a big step forward in year 1 from that, just awful team that Thomas Green had on the floor. And then he took another big step, even though it didn't pay off in the win-loss column. He took another big step this year with the young guys he had on the court, the way the team competed. But you got to win some of those, right? Like you can't be in these games and collapse late in the game. And I think if you win, if you see that happening, where it's like Georgia is winning some games that maybe they shouldn't win, they're winning the games that they should win, and then they can compete in the SEC tournament. I think that's going to be good enough. But if you can't compete at least 500 or better in league play in the SEC next year, I don't see a path forward, because the league is just getting so much better every year.
So
I mean,
tough.
you saw us thinking, listen, I'm not a huge John Calipari fan, but like when John Calipari, when he leaves Kentucky for Arkansas, like when he leaves and he stays inside the SEC, you're like, dude, this thing is it's continuing to just ramp up.
It's going to be tougher.
Yeah, but Kentucky is Alabama football, basically. I mean, come on, that's a different scenario, right?
Well, they can't get a head coach, though.
Yeah, but they've been bounced 5 years in a row in the first round. That's not acceptable, right?
No, and I agree, but I guess what I'm saying is like, I guess what I'm saying though is like the SEC. There's so much pressure in the SEC right now that Arkansas is like, we're gonna go back the truck out for this guy that's getting run off from Kentucky, because that's just the mindset, right? Like they look and they're like, who. It's that mentality of like, who are you going to get that's better? And I think there's a lot of people that you could have gotten this better than John Calipari personally, but there is a mindset of like, the coaches in the SEC are the best coaches in college basketball, maybe the Big 12, and then obviously Danny Hurley is just in a league of his own. But like you put these coaches together, and it's just like, man, it keeps ramping up, and I just think Mike White, you just got to compete. Like, you got to win. Let me say that you got to win the games you're supposed to win, and you got to compete and win a couple of games that you're not supposed to win. And if you can do that, I think.
And we were that close a couple times this year. That close.
Yeah. But last year we weren't that close. So that's the thing. Maybe we got here. 2 great points in one night. Maybe we got to this level. Maybe they can get to that next step. So I think he's doing pretty good. I mean.
And listen, guys, like Lamont Paris is a good example at South Carolina.
Yeah.
Like, no one's talking about this, but that dude lost Gigi Jackson to the NBA, who was a bona fide NBA player, replaced Gigi Jackson with a guy from Wofford. So you replaced a bona fide NBA player who's averaging double digits as an NBA starter with a guy from Wofford.
Right down the
and his
street
team got better. And his team got better, and they went to the NCAA tournament. And so I think, like, and he's in his second year, maybe third year, maybe, but no, I guess he's in his third year.
This is his third. I think we lit him up.
Yeah, he's in his third year. Yeah. But that's the pressure, right? Like, Lamont Paris started when Mike White started, had probably a little bit of a better roster, but he had to turn everything over every year like everybody else. And that's the guy that's taking his team at South Carolina, who has no business, being in that NCAA tournament, taking them to the tourney, and Georgia's not. And that's what you're going up against in this league. And that's what Mike White is going to be up against.
Well, I just pray to God that next year we get a bounce out of Asa Newell and we get something out of that, right? Because we got nothing out of Ant-Man, and Anthony Edwards is a total badass. And if you go ask 95% of NBA fans where that guy played college ball, they'd be like, I have no idea.
They probably don't even think he played college.
Right.
I'll tell you this. This is going to maybe controversial for Georgia fans. I'm glad that COVID happened in the Anthony Edwards year, because I think Anthony Edwards would have made a little bit of noise in that SEC tournament, and I think Georgia. I think Tom Crean, things would have looked a lot better than they actually were with Tom Crean. I don't know if he would have stayed, but I think it would have been. That season getting cut a little bit short. Actually,
it would have been like a Dennis Felton situation. Is that what you're saying?
It really, exactly. I think Anthony Edwards in the NIT. God, imagine Anthony Edwards in the NIT that year. It would have been a wrap. If Georgia wins the NIT that year, then I think things might be a little bit different for Tom Crean.
Yeah, and James Caraway says, "Let's get Billy Donovan." Hey, I'm with you on that one. I would be happy with Billy Donovan. I got a friend, Kevin, that's normally in here. He's a Gator fan. He misses Billy Donovan. Well, we got Garrett in here. He has given us play-by-play. So he has the Georgia baseball is currently playing Mizzou, and they just tied it up with a Charlie freaking Condon home run. So we appreciate that, Garrett, for getting us the play-by-play.
Charlie's pretty decent at baseball, isn't he?
He's not bad. Yeah, they say he may be pretty good. Yeah, so he's not too bad. But I do ask you about the baseball team. They entering tonight. They're 25-8, 5-7 in the SEC. This weekend is sort of make or break. At least 2. You kind of need 3 if at all possible. Is this team good enough with its pitching to go to make a run in the SEC, or are they just going to have to basically just outscore teams and hope for the best?
John, do you keep up with Georgia baseball?
Let me just tell you guys, this past weekend, I drove 4.5 hours one way to go to Mississippi State to sit in the lounge with my buddy Lounge Dog on Twitter, who's a Mississippi State guy, and watch Georgia versus Mississippi State. I was there for
I was there for connections that we don't have, Andy. So
I was there. Yeah. I was there for the Saturday game with when the fight happened.
Oh, you saw it live?
Yeah. I've got I actually posted. Yeah, there's a video on my Twitter feed you can go and find of me in the lounge. The left field lounge, for those who don't know, it's Mississippi State. They have it's basically a tailgate where they have grills and smokers, and the guys are just tailgating while the game is going on inside the stadium. Amazing experience. But I have a video of them ringing their cowbells when the fight was happening in the lounge on my Twitter feed. But all that to say, so yes, I keep up with Georgia baseball
enough
to drive 9 hours round trip in a weekend to see a game.
Clearly,
And I think for me, listen, here's what I worry about with Georgia baseball. They are such a different team when they are not at Foley Field. Like I don't know, I don't know. The Sunday game at Mississippi State gave me a little bit of hope because those bats like came alive. You obviously have that one game at Tennessee where they run ruled Tennessee.
Yeah.
But
Friday
man,
night,
but what happened is Kentucky showed the blueprint when they swept Georgia, and Kentucky's a really good baseball team. But when they swept Georgia in that first SEC series, what's happened is that all of these teams, so Alabama tried to do it, they couldn't execute it. Tennessee, Tony Vitello just decided not to do it in that first game and got run ruled. Then the other two games he decided to do it. What they've done is they figured out the zones to pitch these hitters in, and they just, if you can execute on that, it's very difficult for that offense to get going. So for me, it's less about the pitching. It is about the pitching. It's, in terms of like Georgia, they don't have enough pitchers. I'll say this. I don't think they have enough pitchers to really compete in this thing. But what worries me more is that you have Mississippi State who did it on Friday night, or who did it on Friday night, and then a little bit on Saturday, and then ended up losing 3-2. But and then you have Tennessee did it in those two games where they just found those zones to pitch in. They executed those pitches and it made it hard for Georgia's offense. And when that happens, that pitching is just not good enough.
Well, there's no way I'm disputing you on any of that. But you know what helps when you have pitching like that? Defense behind you, and the defense has not been good.
Yeah,
the defense has been
dropping balls.
Routine double plays. You got to make those plays to help your pitchers out, right? And Georgia's not been doing that. So,
yep.
Well, Eddie, I'm glad you mentioned baseball and defense, because I don't know if y'all saw any of the Braves.
I'm setting up the host. I
don't know if y'all saw any of the Braves game today, but the defense was a letdown. The Braves are currently 7-4. Yeah. There have been good. There have been bad. Today was bad. They got completely shelled by the Mets. They lost 16-4 today. And the defense was bad. The pitching was bad. Winans, he gave up. God, he was getting hit. I mean, it was terrible. But Braves are 7-4. So the good things that we've seen so far: Marcell Ozuna's killing the ball. Ozzie Albies, Michael Harris, Jared Kelman, they're all killing. Chris Sale's pitching really good. Ronaldo Lopez looks like an ace. I mean, if you penciled in Ronaldo Lopez was only going to give up one run in 2 starts at the beginning of the year, I'm letting you pick my lottery numbers. I like Ronaldo Lopez, and I wanted him to start. I'd have never said that. But we've seen some really bad. Max Fried has not been the guy that we thought he was going to be. I said he was winning the Cy Young. I may have been wrong. We've seen Spencer Strider. It's early, but tomorrow's going to tell us a lot, I think. But Spencer Strider's on the shelf with he's probably going to have Tommy John. There's rumors he's already had it, and they're going to announce it tomorrow or Saturday.
I think
I think he had it too. So, John, where are you with this team currently? Do you think they are as good as we thought they were? And do you think they're going to have to go out and do something? Is there someone in the minor leagues that can come up and help pitch? Or do we have to go out and get someone?
I think, I think this team is a little bit of deja vu all over again. When you look at the team last year, when they just had that real, they started, I think they started the season. Actually, I think they started the season 7-4 and then went on a little bit of a run and won a bunch of games in a row. And then all of a sudden they started losing again. And then you get into June and you're starting to heat up again. And it's kind of a little bit of a roller coaster. I feel like that's where this team is. I think, it's, the Braves have seemed to do this the last 2 to 3 years, where it's just ups and downs until you get to around that trade deadline, the All-Star break, those types of things, and then all of a sudden, Alex Anthopoulos, Brian Snicker, like the coaching staff, they figure out the lineups, they figure out the pitching rotations, and then all of a sudden they're good. So I'm not as worried as I think some people are. I think it sucks to lose a series to the Mets. I think that's that's painful. And to get beat that bad is always painful as a Major League Baseball team. But I think you have a long way to go. And I do think if Strider, with that surgery, I think Alex Anthopoulos, I hope. Now he hasn't shown it. He's trying to do it, I guess, with Chris Sale. But I hope that he, if the Braves do lose Spencer, or they will lose Spencer Strider, let's just say it, they will.
Yeah,
but if, he's done. But I do hope that Alex Anthopoulos just has the guts to like go out and make a real move for a pitcher. But yeah, to your point, Eddie, I don't know that he will. What I will say though,
that's not how he operates, John. You know
it's
that.
true. It's true. But I will say, like, just the roller coaster, man. We've been on this roller coaster the last 2 years, so I'm not ready to wrap this team in April. But yeah.
But so that is, does he have the guts, the balls, whatever, to make a move? And there's a guy sitting out there. Trevor Bauer's still out there.
That's okay. We keep bringing.
Go there, Eddie. Go there.
I'll just go. I mean, I don't understand why this guy has been completely blackballed from the MLB. I don't understand it. Somebody's got to talk to this guy and give this guy a chance. We've seen players murder their wives. I'm exaggerating, but and gone on the NFL and had great careers. I'm exaggerating, but and I'm not discounting what
OJ did die today.
Oh, there you go. So, but I mean, they settled out of court. It was done, right? So I just don't understand. And to say that, oh well, he's a bad clubhouse guy. Is he the only person ever in the MLB to be a bad clubhouse guy? Seriously, that's what we're going to. I mean,
and how do we know that? How do we know?
Right?
People thought Marcell Ozuna was a bad clubhouse guy.
Exactly. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Okay, I'm going to set that aside. Okay. There's nothing right now AA can do to fix this situation unless it's from AAA, right? Nobody's trading anybody because everybody's still alive, right? They're still in the running, so that's silly to talk about. It doesn't that doesn't happen until the trade deadline. So today was a showcase for Alan Winans. He failed. He's out. This was the last chance for him. What is he? 28 almost. This was Snitker saying, "This is your last chance, son." He blew it. He's done. I think Dylan Dodds, I think this is a rotation with Snitker to say, okay, Dylan Dodd, you're next. You're next. Whatever. We'll just see who sticks. And Darius Vines, he may be next. I don't know. But they got to fix this in AAA. That's the only way they're going to do it right now, to weather this storm until they get to the trade deadline.
I think Dylan Dodd will be next. And I saw
Dodd will be next. I think it's Vines next, but that's that's me. That's just me.
I think it may depend on whoever they're playing as well, because it may be may be a lefty righty thing. But this tweet from Garrett, and I've seen this earlier, Huascar Noah is getting touched up. AJ Smith is getting touched up. But I don't like Bill Shanks had said that he was glad that Hurston Waldrop got lit up the other day. He said, because that means he will stay down there and develop. And that's the thing. AJ Smith-Shawver's not ready, and we kind of seen that. But
you say that, but Alex loves AJ Smith-Shawver.
He does.
He loves him.
He does.
Yep.
But and James says, I know everyone hates Elder because of the spring numbers, but and he just he does. So Elder may. He may be the guy. I don't know. He's not. I think we all know he's not going to be a front of the rotation starter, but he may be the guy that comes in and takes that spot. And
I will say one more thing, John. I'll throw it to you. We have a starting ERA of over 5 with the starting pitchers. Okay, you can't go out there every night and depend on your bats to pick that up. It's not going to happen. You're going to get shut down some nights. It's not going to happen. So we got to fix that right now, right? And we got to weather this storm, and Acuna's got to stop striking out. He's got to start picking it up, right? There's other players that need to start picking it up, and we need to get on a run. And to, like you said, it is painful to lose to the Mets anytime, but to get blown out like we did today. And by the way, let's not just look past the Marlins. We're going to go down there. Oh, the Marlins are terrible. It's a 3-game sweep. Really? Okay, they're still an MLB team.
Y'all, the Mets are pretty bad. The Mets are pretty bad.
They're terrible.
So
and just the good thing is though, the Braves, they did sweep Arizona, who obviously was in the World Series last year.
Yeah, but we had to. I'm not going to discount what they did, but there were a couple games we had to fight and claw to get the wins. Right?
We did, but
I mean, it was everything we could do.
I'm with you, but I will say this: though, Ronald Acuna is hitting .233. He has 0 home runs. We are 11 games into the season. That's one of those who would have thought that he was going to be hitting this bad? I don't know. I don't think he's injured, but he is behind on that fastball. They're able to kind of pound him right now. But I think he's going to start breaking out soon. I don't think you can't keep him down.
Yeah, that was going to be my comment. My comment was going to be, we're talking. We can talk, all day about pitching, and that is obviously the critical issue for the Braves right now. But Acuna's broken. Like, that guy's got to come. He's got to come. He's got to come alive. And what has been wild though is, like, even with Acuna, up until today, but even with Acuna and his struggles, the Braves offense has been like, that thing has been rolling. Like, run differential was in, plus 31 or something that's coming into today. And I mean, so the pitching though,
you say all that. I'll interrupt you, John. You say all that. Acuna's not hitting the ball out of the park, but he gets a walk. He's going to second on an overthrow. He's going to third, and he's scoring. So he's stealing 3 bases a game, right? He's productive in little ways, right?
His on base percentage is 353.
But the strikeouts, which he cut down on last year, are way up this year.
He's got 14. Yeah,
that to me is a concern.
He has 14, and Austin Riley has 14.
Right.
That's the two. Yeah, the two guys that we kind of thought were going to be the MVPs. They both are striking out at a high level.
Yeah, well, whatever the Braves do, I hope they do it. I mean, I just hope they do it now. It's like, dude, bring up, some of these guys, rotate them in, throw a guy or two in the rotation, see what you got. Like, I think you gotta hopefully, and again, this is not how Alex Anthopoulos or Brian Snicker operate, but I hope they would act with some sense of urgency with this Strider situation, so that and Eddie, you're shaking your head because I know it too, and this is me wishful thinking. I feel like maybe if I just say it, I put it out into the universe, and it happens. But man, I feel like you gotta, like, figure out what you got now, because with that trade deadline, it's like, I don't think if you don't experiment and mess around right now, I think you're going to be in a really
Trevor Bauer. I'll just keep saying it,
dude. Somebody said the one that I saw that I thought was hilarious was Zach Greinke, which I thought was pretty funny. He's like 39 years old or something, and they were like, "Yeah, let's bring him in and see what he's got." I was like, "Well,
he's younger than Morton at this point, right?
Yeah,
I mean, why not?
It's true. Yeah, not
he
a bad
was terrible
idea.
last year. Charlie Morton.
He was.
Well, guys, I want to talk about the Falcons too. So Mel Kiper released his final mock draft, and he does the first 2 rounds. He has the Atlanta Falcons drafting Dallas Turner in the first round with the 8th overall pick, and he has them taking Kamari Lassiter in the 2nd round with a 43 overall pick. Eddie, how does this make you feel? I know you're probably, if this happens, you'll have a heart attack.
I think I need to go get some blood pressure medicine is what I need to do. I mean, come on. Kamari Lassiter in the 2nd round. I mean, that's fantastic. That is awesome. Although I will say, I'll just nitpick it. I would take Dallas Turner and I'd take Cedric Van Pran there instead of Kamari.
He didn't even have Cedric Van Pran going in the top 2 rounds. That's the
Are you serious?
So he had a total of 5 Georgia Bulldogs. He had Kamari Lassiter going to the Falcons in the 2nd round. He had Ladd McConkey going with a 39th pick to the Panthers. He had Amarius Mims going with a 25th pick to the Packers. And he had Brock Bowers going 10th to the Jets. And then
where did he have Cedric Van Pran going?
He only does the first 2 rounds.
So okay. Okay.
But think about this. What if they could get Dallas Turner in the 1st round, they could get Kamari Lassiter in the 2nd round, and they could get Cedric Van Pran in the 3rd round. Tell me you wouldn't run down the road just yelling at the top of your lungs. That would be the best thing ever.
No, we need a cornerback. I mean, I'd take Kamari Lassiter, absolutely. But you know how I am. I draft from the football out. That's what I want to do. Football out. And Cedric Van Pran, we need a damn center. He's fantastic. And he's a leader, and he gets it. I would take him in a 2nd right there with that, 43rd pick, whatever that is. But, I mean, that's fine. Kamari Lassiter there is fine. But I like the Dallas Turner pick. I think that's what they should do. I hate all the Brent Rollins, I love you, brother, but I totally disagree with you taking a wide receiver there, and he had somebody else, a cornerback there.
From
where?
Toledo.
Yeah. Oh my God, I don't like that at all. I don't like it at
all.
I
think you have to. Yeah, I think in that number 8 pick, you got to take either an edge. I think just think you got to take an edge. I think you get Dallas Turner or Jared Verse, like one of those guys, and you
I'd
just
be fine with Verse.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's who you got to go with there. I saw some guys talking about Malik Neighbors. Like I've seen multiple people talk about Malik Neighbors, and I'm like, y'all, like stop it. You guys stop.
Why?
Because I agree. I think so. I heard Mina Kimes talking about this today and about Brock Bowers. She was talking about in the context of Brock Bowers.
Mm-hmm.
But the interesting part was what she said was the value of a rookie contract for a wide receiver. You get a lot more value out of it because wide receivers make so much money after their rookie contract. So if you get like a young wide receiver that hits, you've got, like this cap hit like situation, whatever. And that was her point of saying like why she thinks Brock Bowers will go, lower in the draft than people are expecting is because of the value of the tight end. Right. But that's also what she was doing, was saying like she was pumping up a lot of these wide receivers because of the value and trying to get these wide receivers early. And that does make me nervous because it is a business, and you think about the business side and you think about like, okay, well, if they do feel like they need a wide receiver, and there is that like cap hit and value of rookie contracts for wide receivers versus their 4th year, whatever. I don't know, man, that makes you a little bit nervous as a Falcons fan, because there's one thing I do know, and I'll just say this: I will be disappointed with who they take at number 8.
Yeah,
that's the one thing I know. Yeah. I've been a lifelong Falcons fan. I used to sit in Fulton County Stadium.
We know this, John.
No, my first games were watching the Falcons play on the baseball diamond in Fulton County Stadium when they still had the smoking sections in the upper deck, and there's guys smoking and drinking beer. So I've been around a long time, and if there's anything I do know, I will be disappointed probably by all of the picks, but especially by the first one in the first round.
Yeah, they have a tendency to draft somebody from Backyard University in the second round when there's 5 Georgia Bulldogs sitting there.
I think the ideal play is that J.J. McCarthy's sitting there, right, and they trade back, and somebody jumps to 8, and they pick up a couple of picks. That would be ideal.
He had Drake May. I mean, he had J.J. McCarthy going to the Vikings at the 5th pick of the
ahead
draft.
of Drake May, right?
He has Drake May going 3rd. He has Caleb Williams 1 to the Bears, Jaden Daniels 2 to the Commanders, Drake May 3 to the Patriots. But he has the Chargers.
J.J. won't last. Okay.
He has the Vikings trading up with the Chargers to get J.J. McCarthy at the 5th pick of the draft.
I don't understand the J.J. McCarthy love. I just don't understand it. What has he shown you in college?
Yeah, I don't get it. Here's the other thing I'll say about the Falcons real quick when it comes to Georgia. So the Falcons, finally made me really happy and drafted a Georgia Bulldog when they drafted Justin Schaefer when Jamari Sawyer was sitting there.
Jamari Sawyer.
Right. It's like again, and so now Justin Schaefer, who again,
here's a pick for all you Bulldog fans. Now shut up, right?
Exactly. But I like Justin Schaefer, but now Justin Schaefer has been waived, and Jamari Sawyer has like double-digit starts under his belt when they're
10-year vet.
Yeah. So even when they pick Georgia players, they're going to get it wrong.
James Garrison, I'm still convinced they thought Justin was Jamari, and they got up. They really made me.
It does start with a J, so
we watched Jamari Sawyer play in those playoffs, just dominate guys.
Yeah,
that's Michigan about Jamari Sawyer.
Yeah,
ask Aiden Hutchinson. Ask him about Jamari Sawyer. See what he thinks about him. And they just let him go. I remember watching that draft, and I was like, okay, it's the 3rd round. We're going to get Jamari Sawyer. Didn't draft him. We got to the 4th round. I'm like, holy crap, he's still there. We're going to get him. Didn't take him. Get to the 5th round. I'm like, holy crap, we're going to get him in the 5th. Nah, just kidding.
Let me throw this, because it's not Arthur Smith now. Okay, Arthur Smith was a freaking idiot, and I'm cleaning that up. Okay, it's Raheem Morris. I love the guy so far. He's said everything right. He's done everything right. I know press conferences don't mean shit at this point, but whatever. Mm-hmm. So, do we think finally that Raheem Morris at 8, it's not going to be somebody we look around, John, I call you, and I'm like, who the hell is this guy at 8? Maybe finally Raheem Morris picks the right guy at 8. Maybe?
Listen, I would like to say that.
Or John, is it still Arthur Blank dictating all the picks?
It's not. No, so it's not. I don't think it's Arthur Blank dictating the picks. I think there is.
Really?
There has been some shakeup. No, here's what I mean by that. I think he's definitely. I think they had a consensus mentality, right? Where it is like, I think it is like, Arthur Blank was too involved. I think Rich McKay was too involved. I think Thomas Dimitrioff. Good Lord, like I think all those guys. But the thing that concerns me though is, did Arthur Blank hire Raheem Morris? And I like Raheem Morris. I'm so excited that Raheem Morris is the coach of the Falcons. I think Raheem Morris, I think he was hired too young as the head coach at Tampa Bay.
Yes, absolutely.
He did. Yeah. And so now he's had all of this experience, all this learning. The problem that I have with Raheem Morris in this draft is that he was on the Falcons staff from 2015 to 2020. And does Raheem Morris, is the relationship with Arthur Blank such, because he was on the staff for 6 seasons, is it such that it's still the stuff still happens, right? Like,
still his boy type.
Exactly. Yeah. This isn't a guy that's like it's not like again, I'm really glad the Falcons didn't hire Bill Belichick, but it's not a guy that's coming in that like has the chutzpah and the persona to like stand up to Arthur Blank and be like, nope, I'm going to make this call.
Yeah.
It's a guy who was in his organization for 6 years. And now Arthur Blank has given him an opportunity for this job. And is there like that sense of gratitude, relationship? I was in your organization, the respect, which is all good, but to the point of like, I'm going to let you have, overstep your bounds in this draft.
And that's why I wanted Bill Belichick, because I wanted him to be able to say, hey, look, old man, get out of my office. You hired me, I'm in charge. And that is the one thing I'm concerned about with
Raheem Morris.
Raheem Morris. That is the thing I'm concerned about with Raheem Morris. And that's why, but we'll see. But I do, maybe he's letting Terry Fontenot actually do the drafting this year, because like, I don't know if you listen to the Bill Shanks show, John, but he has Rick Blackford call in on Wednesdays or Thursdays. And he has said that very thing, that he's like, Terry Fontenot wasn't getting to do the general manager job, and now they think he is. So maybe that's where we're going.
That's good.
Yeah.
Well, guys, before we get out of here, I got one more question for you. Do y'all have any Masters memories, like your favorite Masters memories? Like, I'm not a huge golf fan. I watch the Masters and obviously the Tiger, all the fist pump, but I love the Bubba Watson when he won it, because he's a Georgia Bulldog.
Yeah.
Those are my favorite memories.
John, go ahead.
Yeah. Listen, my profile photo is Arnold Palmer as the honorary starter at the Masters. It looks like an old man, shaking his fist at the clouds, which I think a lot of people think it might be.
Me.
Eddie, that's Eddie.
Yeah,
that's
just
they call me on the podcast.
But it's no, but it is Arnold Palmer. My granddad was a golfer, loved Arnold Palmer, and so I like Arnold Palmer too. I think for me, I have two that really stand out. One, I do love the Bubba Watson moment when he hit that hook shot out of the pine straw.
Go look at the drawing on that shot. I mean, I know y'all have seen it.
I mean, I've seen it. Yeah, the physics on that thing. It's like, dude, I don't even know. I don't even know the physics on that.
It's impossible.
Impossible. But I will say the two for me is 1997 when Tiger won it and he hugged his dad, and he just like, super young guy, 21 years old, just like running away with this freaking tournament was like, for me, as someone who was just graduating high school at the time, like golf was not, just wasn't a thing. And that was the first time I felt like, oh shoot, like I actually I care about golf. Right. And then number two was 2019 when Tiger came back and won it. I thought that was just really like such a moment of like Tiger hugging his dad in 97 and then Tiger hugging his son in 2019. Yeah. I thought it was just such a powerful moment of that tournament.
Eddie, before you go, I know y'all seen it, but have y'all seen Tiger Woods' son, how he is Tiger Jr., how he does the swing, the golf, the spin? Yeah. It's crazy how
it's coming. It's coming.
It's coming.
So mine more goes back to nostalgia for the calls, and it's Vern Lundquist. That's what I think of when I think of the Masters. And the two that stand out to me, Andy, you're probably too young. I know you are, but it's when he called Jack Nicklaus hitting that putt on 16, maybe, yes, sir. And that's one of my favorite calls of all time, just hearing that. And then the call he made, was that the year? I don't remember the year when Tiger hit that incredible shot and the Nike ball just sat there on the rim and rolled in.
Yep.
And Vern made that call. I mean, just to go back and watch that and hear Vern make that call, it's just that just gives me chills. And I'm not a Tiger fan. I never have been, never will be. I'm just, I don't know. I just never rooted for the guy. But that was one of the most iconic things I've ever heard. Listening to Vern make that call, it was incredible.
Well, Eddie, how did you feel when Happy Gilmore made the putt to beat Shooter McGavin in the last?
Oh yeah, I mean, come on, Happy Gilmore, the best.
That's the best thing.
Yeah.
And James agrees with you, Eddie. He likes Vern calling Tiger's miraculous shot.
Yeah, incredible.
Well, guys, this has been fun. We really want to thank John for joining us tonight. And John, make sure tell everyone how, again, just so they know how they can get you on Twitter and how they can watch your podcast and times and all that stuff.
Yeah, at John Tweet Sports. Follow me on Twitter. We'll mix it up over there. Have a good time. And then on YouTube, it's at Dog Dispatch. You can find our show there or anywhere you get your podcasts. Would love to have you join us.
Eddie, you got any final words before we get out of here?
Get your colonoscopy. Get your blood work done. Donate blood. Save my life. Save my wife's life. It can save yours. Get it done. And John, thank you very much. We really appreciate you coming on. It was awesome.
I had a great time, guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we appreciate it. So everyone, we appreciate you guys for watching us. Like I said, if you have not liked this video, please, Eddie, I was saying that for you. Please like this video. Please share it and subscribe to our channel.
And John you can see it Sunday night.
Sunday night. Watch us Sunday night on the UGA Sports. It's actually youtube.com/@UGA Sports. We'll be on with Paul Meharry for the All Things Georgia Call-In show. We'll be talking about, I'm sure, the G-Day game will be mostly what we talk about. But hey,
just a little something going on this weekend to talk about.
Little something. And I'm sure there'll be a Masters winner by then. So, we'll have plenty to talk about Sunday night. So, guys, like I said, we appreciate it. For John,
don't log off. Stay on for a second. Thank you.
I got you.
Thanks, guys.
See ya.
See y'all.